For many years, Buckingham Palace acted like it couldn't hear a thing. And now, suddenly, everything has changed. News from inside the palace confirmed that official documents had finally been written. Not rough drafts. Not warnings. Not, "we'll decide later." But final orders. Orders that would forever change the future of two children who never asked to be part of this battle. Archie and Lilibet. The message inside those papers was incredibly clear. Their right to be called royal is gone. Not postponed. Not being reconsidered. Gone. And the moment those words were put on paper, the palace's long silence finally made complete sense. They weren't ignoring anything. They were waiting, calm, patient, and completely confident that the rule book would speak louder than anything Meghan and Harry ever said in public. Don't forget to subscribe to Royal Report Daily and hit that notification bell so you never miss a single update. To understand why the royal family made such a harsh and final choice, we have to go back to a rule book written long before Meghan, Harry, or their children were ever born. The year was 1917. The world was at war. Kingdoms were falling apart. And the British royal family was desperately trying to protect itself from confusion and political danger. So King George V did something no king had done before. He wrote down in official legal language exactly who could be called a prince or princess. Not as tradition, as law. His announcement was called the letters patent. And it became the foundation of royal identity for every generation that followed. Inside this document were 3 strict rules every royal child must meet. Rule 1. The child must come from a verified royal bloodline. Rule 2. The child's birth must be officially recognized and recorded by the Crown itself. Not through a press release. Not through a private announcement. By the royal household directly. Rule 3. The child must be connected to the Church of England through an official baptism. Not optional. A legal step in establishing royal identity. These rules were strict, exact, and unchanging. Created to protect the royal family from exactly what it feared most: confusion. For many years, every royal birth followed these rules perfectly. No shortcuts, no special cases, no problems. Until Archie was born, and the very first crack appeared in the royal paperwork. Stay tuned to Royal Report Daily. We bring you the stories that matter. Archie's birth in 2019 should have been straightforward. A happy announcement, smiling parents, a new baby welcomed into history. But inside the legal paperwork, something strange happened. Archie's birth certificate initially listed his mother the correct way, Rachel Meghan Markle. Everything normal, everything proper. But later, the document was quietly changed without any clear explanation. Meghan's full legal name was removed and replaced with a single phrase: Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. Birth certificates are not social media posts. They are permanent legal records locked into history. So when this change appeared, it set off serious warning signals behind palace walls. Meghan claimed the palace forced the change. Palace staff claimed Meghan requested it. Both sides pointed fingers. Neither backed down. And no one ever provided a final agreed-upon answer. But here is what truly mattered to the royal family. A royal birth record had been changed. And once a royal record has doubt attached to it, that doubt becomes a crack, one that spreads, grows, and eventually leads to everything falling apart. By the time Lilibet was born in 2021, the palace had already learned something powerful. Silence can be louder than any words. Because when her birth came, the world expected a familiar picture. Royal doctors standing by. Official announcements from Buckingham Palace. Photographers ready to capture the newest Windsor. But none of that happened. Instead, the birth was announced from thousands of miles away, wrapped in a cheerful press release from sunny California. A friendly message. A picture-perfect statement. But someone was missing. The crown. No royal seal. No palace confirmation. No official record. No sign of any royal witness whatsoever. To those who study royal rules closely, this wasn't a small oversight. This was a signal, A quiet message sent without a single spoken word. We are not claiming this. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to Royal Report Daily for more exclusive investigations. For hundreds of years, royal births were treated almost like historical ceremonies. Every detail mattered: where the child was born, who delivered them, which doctors signed off, how the crown officially recorded it. These steps were the royal family's way of saying, "This child belongs to our history." But with Lilibet, none of those steps were followed. To the public, it looked like a simple geographic difference. One baby born in the UK, one in America. But to the palace, it was far bigger. A royal child had entered the world completely outside the royal record, the first Windsor-connected child in modern times for whom this was true. And inside Buckingham Palace, this was not seen as an accident. It was seen as a deliberate departure from the path every royal baby had walked for over 100 years. The quiet rejection had begun. If the birth raised concern, what happened next caused real alarm. Months later, Meghan announced that Lilibet had been baptized in California. She spoke warmly about the ceremony, the joy, the meaning. But behind palace walls, the reaction was very different. Because for royal children, a baptism is not simply a family celebration. It is one of the core requirements of the 1917 Letters Patent. The moment a child is officially tied to the Church of England, to the crown, and to the centuries of tradition behind them. A legal marker as important as a birth certificate. But Lilibet's California baptism was reportedly never registered with the Church of England. To the couple, it was a beautiful and deeply meaningful celebration. To the royal family, it was a ceremony that on paper did not exist. A child without a recognized Church of England baptism exists outside the official record. No matter how meaningful the ceremony was to the family personally, inside palace circles, it was seen as an avoidable but permanent mistake. And instead of strengthening Lilibet's connection to the royal family, the event did the exact opposite. It left her floating between two worlds, celebrated in America, unrecognized by the system she was born into. Don't miss a single update. Subscribe to Royal Report Daily right now. While these cracks formed quietly, another problem was growing. Something far more personal and far more painful. As the cracks in the royal foundation grew wider around his children, Harry did something no one expected from a prince who had declared he was completely done with the royal family. He reached back. According to those familiar with the private conversations, Harry made late-night phone calls to the very system he had walked away from. Not planned calls, not polished statements. Emotional, desperate, deeply personal pleas. He begged the palace to reconsider. He begged for Archie and Lilibet to be written properly into the royal record. He begged for the titles he believed his children deserved by blood. To Harry, this was never about fame or brand value. This was about legacy, the one thing he believed he could protect even after stepping down. But every time he tried to make his case, he hit the same immovable wall. A palace official reportedly responded with a sentence so cold it stayed with Harry for months. This is not about emotion. This is about order, family line, and the future of the crown. For Harry, that was the moment everything changed. He realized something heartbreaking. He wasn't just the prince who had stepped away from royal life. He had become the prince whose children were being erased from it. Subscribe to Royal Report Daily and stay ahead of every royal development. Once the palace made its decision, it moved with remarkable speed. No cameras, no press conferences, no dramatic statements. Just quiet, steady action, the kind the crown is famous for. And the consequences were not gentle, not temporary, and not open to any discussion. This was the full list of what Archie and Lilibet reportedly lost. No royal titles, no prince, no princess, no ceremonial roles, no official duties, no public honors, no place in the line of succession, their names removed from the legal order entirely. No crown-funded security, their protection left completely to their parents. No permanent place in the royal files. The books that outlast centuries no longer include them. In the world of royalty, titles are not just words. They are keys. They open doors to history. They tie a child to a family line that stretches back hundreds of years. Without those keys, a royal child becomes ordinary. And that is exactly what the palace's final orders accomplished, stripping away everything that connected Archie and Lilibet to the centuries-old Windsor legacy. Not as punishment, not as revenge, as the strict and cold application of rules that have existed for over 100 years. The royal family had acted, and nothing would ever be the same again. Hit that like button and subscribe to Royal Report Daily right now. In the end, Buckingham Palace never shouted, never argued, never tried to out-talk the storm of interviews, podcasts, and documentaries. It didn't need to, because the royal family has always understood its greatest power: silence. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is strategy. Silence is the crown's way of saying everything without saying a single word. For years, the palace watched from a distance, quiet, still, patient. It watched Meghan build her brand as a royal mother. It watched Harry struggle to connect two completely different worlds. It watched the documentaries, the public speeches, and the criticisms, all without responding. Because the royal family knew something the rest of the world had forgotten. Power is not proven with noise. Power is proven with finality. And when the time came, the crown acted with the cold precision of a system older than empires. It removed titles. It rewrote records. It erased names from history's path, with a message that will echo far louder than anything Harry and Meghan have ever said in public. The crown does not bend. Not for personalities. Not for celebrity. Not for noise or attention. And once the crown chooses to erase your place in its story, you are not a rebel. You are not a threat. You are not even a chapter. You are simply gone. That is the royal family's final message. Chilling, quiet, permanent. And it leaves one last truth hanging in the air. Archie and Lilibet will grow up loved, protected, and free. But the pages of royal history, the pages that last far longer than any interview or documentary, will not carry their names. The absence is the punishment. The silence is the answer. And the decision, once made, is forever. That's all for today here at Royal Report Daily. If you want to stay ahead of every royal development as it happens, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. Stay informed, because the truth about the royal family is never finished. There is always more to come, and we will be right here when it does on Royal Report Daily.